Hey, everyone. I am back. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. For those of you who are tuning in brand new for the very first time, we are here live every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on Black Women Empowered Incorporated Facebook page, YouTube, and LinkedIn Live. For those of you who are tuning back on in, welcome back. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. And for those of you who are tuning into the replay on Dr. Nekeshia Hammond YouTube page, be sure to like this video, share, and subscribe to the page. But welcome. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Let me know where you're tuning in from in the chat. Today is the first Tuesday of May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month, which is one of my favorite months of the year, of course. So as promised you all, which I have been telling you all for weeks now, we're going to be having some guests this month. So today we have the amazing BJ Daniels. I'm going to introduce him to you all, and then we're going to dive right in. And welcome, first of all, BJ. Welcome so much to
Hey,
the.
thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for being here. All right, so let me introduce. And again, for those of you just tuning in, just let me know where you're tuning in from in the chat. Hopefully, I'll be able to see my comments and they will not be delayed by technology. But nonetheless, BJ Daniels, he is the manager of partnership and strategic growth for Avara Health. He's a former professional athlete and a Super Bowl champion, which is amazing, with the Seattle Seahawks, and a proud alumnus of the University of South Florida, hailing from Tallahassee, Florida. Since retiring from the NFL, he has transitioned into coaching the NFL's Carolina Panthers and USF, public speaking, and very important also, he is a mental health champion. He authored a book titled Beyond the Red Zone. So be sure, hey, from Virginia, welcome. He authored a book titled Beyond the Red Zone. So be sure to check the book out, where he shares the mental health challenges he and many of his teammates faced, often in silence, through lived experiences. He aims to shine a light on the importance of resilience, mindset, dedication, passion, and perseverance, all essential tools for rising above adversity and facing life's challenges head on. So thanks again, BJ. Thanks so much for joining us today. Welcome.
Well, thanks for having me. You got to tell me how much I owe you because that was a long bio.
Well, listen, this is your bio. All the amazing things that you're doing.
I
So
appreciate it.
thank you for being a mental health champion.
Thank you.
All right, so we got some people joining here. Thanks again for joining. Let me know if you're just tuning in. Let me know where you're tuning in from in the chat. And if you're just now getting here again, where I will be having the honor of interviewing BJ Daniels today. If you're just tuning in, also you can always catch the replay of this on Dr. Nekeshia Hammond YouTube page. Hi from Maryland. Thanks so much for joining here. And again, let me know where you're tuning in from in the chat. All right, so BJ, first question for you. Inquiring minds want to know, of course. So, and actually, it's so funny because we just had a Super Bowl not too long ago. But you've obviously experienced that moment, which many of us have not. Watching this, we've tuned in to Super Bowls, of course, on TV and watched from afar. But can you really take us into that moment, like when you did have that experience of being a Super Bowl champion? What did it feel like to win the Super Bowl?
Yeah, it was amazing. It was like a dream come true. I didn't fully have the opportunity to like really process that moment while it was
Yeah.
happening. It was kind of like drinking out of a fire hose.
Yeah.
What happens is once you win, the confetti comes down and you get a chance to enjoy your family, embrace that. But then you have this like surreal moment of what you see on TV, and now you're actually in it. So now you're on the field, confetti's down, the Lombardi NFL Super Bowl trophies walking right by you. You get to hold it and put your greasy fingers all over the shiny trophy, and you go in the locker room, and there's 100 media people,
Wow.
to interview you from all over the world. It's not just the
Yeah.
United States, because this is a world event, and
Yeah.
that night, what I remember from it, because it was long and hazy. I enjoyed myself with my teammates. We had spent a long 17 NFL football week season with each other,
Wow.
summer and training camp, and now I'm walking in the club, and in the middle of New York City. The Super Bowl that we had was against the Denver Broncos and at MetLife
Wow.
Stadium in New York. And I always dreamed as a kid to go to New York City,
That's
but to
so
have that
cool.
opportunity to go there and they're stopping the line so Meek Mill and other rappers and can't get in, but
Yeah.
they're treating us like we're the celebrities. And we go in, and I just remember, one of my favorite rappers at the time, what still is today, is Drake. So I had the
Yeah.
opportunity to kind of stand shoulder to shoulder with him in celebration of this long accomplishment that I never thought I would ever be a part of. So it was an amazing experience.
That is so cool. Thank you for sharing that. That's
Yeah,
amazing. And I love that you share, like, you had that dream because I think many of us, well, many people watching, of course, may not be elite athletes, but we all have different dreams, right? Like, we have big
right.
dreams, and for you to just be there and experience that moment and have that dream come true is so beautiful. So congrats again. That's such a great moment. Oh, hi, for those of you who are still starting to join here. Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. We are here today with BJ Daniels. Thanks for tuning in from Boston. Orwell, Jersey's in the house. Welcome, welcome. Again, if you're just tuning in, let me know where you're tuning in from here in the chat. Um, so, one of the things, so I know, like, of course, like you said, like you have this glorious moment. It's amazing. It looks amazing on TV. So to be there live is like, to me, I'm like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
But also sometimes that's a highlight reel, right?
Mhm.
Because you have this big moment, like you said, you're around the rappers, celebrities, everyone's like, oh my goodness, Super Bowl champions. But take us to maybe some of the behind the scenes. Sometimes that journey, like you said, well, like we kind of discussed
Yeah.
beforehand, can be tough, right? And I've heard you speak at other events of just the tough times sometimes that people don't see. So what do you feel like a part of your journey is something maybe people don't see?
Yeah, my book, that I wrote, Beyond the
Yeah.
Red Zone. I share a lot of different stories. It's on Amazon, Target, and Walmart today. But when people look at me and they label me as an NFL player or a Super Bowl winner, I'm thankful for those accolades. But for me, it's a reminder of all the things that I've went through to get to that point. So when I was a kid, I always wanted to make it to the NFL. I want to go to the NFL,
Yeah.
and that was my dream, and I actually accomplished that. So it was really cool to say, hey, you know what? I played for the Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson is a friend of mine. I was there with Marshawn Lynch. I know Russell's wife, Sierra. I was in the Super Bowl. I met President Obama. I went to the White House, like all those things, but people don't know
Yeah.
what it cost me to get to that
Ooh.
point.
Yeah.
So
Speak on that. Yeah.
what I brag about is not those moments. What I brag about is the things that I overcame through faith, family, therapy, people that have supported me, along the way. Because I can tell you, my freshman year of college, I broke my ankle, and excuse me, our freshman year of college, I got held down at gunpoint. So I never thought I
Oh,
would even be here today, having
wow.
this conversation with you.
Yeah.
My senior year of college, I broke my ankle, so I never thought I would even make it to the NFL.
Wow.
Then we talk about stereotypes, types, and stigmas. I'm a 5'11" black quarterback, so I don't fit the height standard as the average NFL quarterback. It's times have changed now, uh,
Yeah.
but also just that whole, can he read coverages? Can he understand coverages? Can he be a leader of the team, the face of the program, because of what I look like? So
Yeah.
those are things that are real for me. And then when I get to the NFL, I'm using some of my financials to bury my grandmother who died of cancer. I'm
Wow.
using those same
Wow.
financials to take care of my little sister who was in college but had to take a year's break because she was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma cancer.
Wow.
So now, not
Jeez.
only am I taking care of her schooling, as she needs to take a break, but also the treatment so she can become healthy and I could save her life. So so
That's a lot.
she's and I brag about the fact that because of that, because of God allowed me to have those opportunities, I was able to bless others. So
Wow.
unfortunately, my grandmother didn't make it, but my little sister is 100% cured. She's been a third grade teacher now for the last 6 years.
Oh,
Um,
that's so
so
beautiful.
when I look back on those experiences, I know that my purpose was not to make it to the NFL. My purpose was to go there and gather tools to be able to help and bless other people, not just in the financial aspect, but also when I talk about my experiences in mental health as well.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
yeah,
How did you I mean, wow, like you said, I mean, you're, a little kid. I have a son, his dream is to be in the NBA, right? Like, I mean,
mhm,
you're a young child, your dreams, like, get to the NFL, which you did, amazing, Super Bowl champion, all the things.
Right.
But then, like you said, like that adversity that came along the way, I feel like, and we've talked about this on Mental Health Moment before, for those
Yeah.
of you who are not new, about having an elite mindset. So I just wonder for you, like, what did that look like? Because I mean, for you to be sitting here today and us having this conversation, there had to be a mindset to get through all that. That's a lot. Your
Yeah.
grandma, your sister, your right, like you're injured, like that's a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
So like, how would you define elite mindset? Like, what was it for you that you said, okay, let me try to get through this? Because you had to take care of you too, right? You were taking care of
Yeah.
other people, but you had to take care of you. So what's the secret, right?
No, it's
Someone said,
I think
sorry,
it's
someone said in the comment, what an awesome testimony. It absolutely is. Someone said they love this topic and conversation. And welcome for those who are still starting to join here. But go ahead.
yeah, it's a combination of things. I'll start off by saying in my childhood, I always was a kid that always I took trauma and I flipped it. So, for example, I grew up in a dorm room. My dad was a dorm director at Florida State University until I was 6 or 7 years old. So I didn't grow up around kids that I would play with in the neighborhood because everyone that was around me were college students.
That's so
So,
interesting. Yeah.
so I never played in the park or went stop sign to stop sign or play with the kids across the street. I didn't have that opportunity.
Yeah.
When my mother and father eventually made enough money to move to the north side or the more influential up suburban side of Tallahassee, a lot of the kids in my neighborhood didn't look like me either. So I go from two instances to where I'm trying to, figure out who I am as a person in the community. So
Yeah.
I played sports on the south side of town with people that look like me. I went to church on the south side of town, but I went to school Monday through Friday with people that did not look like me. So I struggle
Yeah.
with you're not from my neighborhood and I'm trying to bond with you. And I struggle
Yeah.
with kids I went to school with and I don't look like you. So there
Yeah.
was an early thing in me that said I always have to go in environments and prove myself. So
Wow.
that transpired into my attitude as far as being a competitor.
Yeah.
Always going to fight for the things that I wanted to have or who I wanted to be. I will tell you that started me there, but my journey still has support. So I have a locker room, and I talk about my locker room all the time.
Oh, that's
I no
nice.
longer play in the NFL. I don't have that locker room per se,
Yeah.
but the locker room is the people that support me. The locker
Oh,
room
I
are the
love
people
that.
that travel with me. So my mom and dad are still married. I find myself to be lucky to be able to still say that. I have two little sisters. There's church members that I care about. I have fraternity brothers. Shout out to Kappa Alpha Psi who looked out for me as well. I
Yeah.
have had a team chaplain in college who supported me as well. So
Yeah.
that locker room has been very consistent for me, and that's the thing that's helped me throughout my journey when things didn't go right. And the biggest message I have for everyone, especially parents, I'm not a father, right now, but what are we really truly teaching our kids? We say respect your elders, go to class, read right, do the right thing, stay out of trouble, respect police officers. But what happened when those things don't go that way? How do you
Mm.
handle adversity? And
Yeah.
those are the things that I think are extremely important. So we're not necessarily quote unquote lying to our children. We're letting them know, like, hey, look, yeah, you could do all those things, but it's still not work out in your favor.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's one of my biggest messages. But my support system has always been my locker room, and my locker room has been the people closest to me.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That's such a great analogy because we have talked about mental health moment too. For those of
Yeah,
you just tuning in, we're here with BJ Daniels today. But we talk a lot about how important social support is to get through. Times are hard, things are hard, life's like, right? We all have different levels of adversity,
right.
traumas, things happening, unexpected things, even the good things. Like sometimes it's just a lot sometimes to
Yeah.
manage. But I love what you said about the locker room. And I'm curious, like in the chat, let me know in the chat, like for you, again, you may not be an elite athlete here, but who's in your locker room, right? Like who, because everybody needs a locker room, right? We all need a group. Some of us have huge families or friends, coworkers, people at your place of worship, whomever. But we have to have that support system. You don't have to do this alone. So let me know in the chat who's in your locker room, right? And there's no right or wrong answer because for all of us, it's different. For some of you, you're like not my family, which is all good. For some of you, you're like absolutely my family, right? Like it's all good. It's who is it that supports you, right? So yeah, so let me know in the chat. So I would love to know too. So you have this book, like you mentioned, Beyond the Red Zone. Be sure to get a copy, you all. I'll put it in the chat again. I put it earlier, but I'll put it in the chat for you all just learning. But I would love to know, like, what was your inspiration behind writing that book?
Yeah, so once I was done playing in the league in the
Yeah.
NFL, I had to figure out, who I was outside of football. And I already had, a foundation of certain things, and principles that were in place, but I needed to figure out what's next.
Yeah.
And I wanted to figure out a way to put my world back together again. I'll share this quick story. One of the most interesting things that I experienced was, I was in Atlanta, Georgia. This was right after my last season with the Atlanta Falcons. At the time I was cut by the Atlanta Falcons, so it was my last season there. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, where I have no social equity whatsoever. And what that means is no one in that city knew who I was. No one in that city cared. I did not have people that I could go in support of me, so they were not a part of my locker room. You go to Atlanta, you got movie stars, TV stars, rappers, you got all these celebrities. So my social equity, was very low. On top of that, you get hurt. Social equity was at an all time zero. Your girlfriend breaks up with you. You're trying to figure out who you are outside of football, and you're just living. You're just there. The craziest thing I did was I walked to a job interview about 4 to 5 miles on the Atlanta highway on I-85, right,
Wow.
right to the edge of the perimeter. And if you know about Atlanta and their
Oh
traffic,
yeah, I
and
do.
I went to interview for a job on a Friday morning. I had my
Wow.
gray University of South Florida T-shirt on, some black shorts. My suit was in my backpack, and I walked to this job. And the reason I
Wow.
walked is because I wanted to see how serious I could test myself mentally to do life the same way I
Wow.
did sports. So I ran sprints, I lifted weights, I did all these things, but how serious was I about my life in the next chapter?
Yeah.
I went to this job interview. I kind of rinsed off in the bathroom so they wouldn't think I was sweating. I
Wow.
put my suit on, got on the elevator, went to the top floor. It was a marketing job, and if you couldn't sell yourself, then you couldn't sell anything in the company. So I went up there, I sold myself, and they hired me on the spot. So I was intentional about saying thank you. I appreciate the opportunity and being respectful. But when they called me on Monday to report to work, I didn't show up. I did not show up.
Wow.
And it was a thing where I really just wanted to see what it was that I could do,
Yeah.
as a person. But I put this book together because there's so many different pieces of my life that are unimaginable sometimes. If I tell you I'm in a hanging out with Drake, or I'm with Russell Wilson, or Marshawn Lynch, or I'm in the
Hmm.
Super Bowl, or I've been to different cities. I had to bring all those experiences and people back together, and putting it in a book was the best way for me to do that. And then for
Yeah.
me to be a voice, not only for the dream that I had that not necessarily was realized, but be a voice for all the individuals that I played with along the way, from high school to college, the NFL, who either didn't make it to where they wanted to be, or unfortunately succumbed to suicide, or just have struggled with certain things with family or internal or external with coaches.
Yeah.
So putting that all in the book, I don't talk about football, and I think that's what people need to understand and realize. I didn't write an autobiography about how to play football. This was
Yeah.
a book to try to educate and help people when things don't go the way you expect them to go, and how what my mental fortitude or process was, and how I actually transitioned it out of some of those dark spaces. When I was crying on the couch at 3 o'clock in the morning on a
Yeah.
at night, not knowing what's next and what to do.
Yeah. That's very real. I think like there's so many people watching this right now that can 1000% relate
Mhm.
to that. Like that is real. Like we just have times, I mean, all of us, right? Like where you just get to the point you're like, I'm breaking down, like you said, mentally, and maybe it's crying, or maybe it's doing something else, or you are reaching out to someone, or you need to reach out to someone, right? Someone was saying in the comments, my locker room network includes my immediate family members, a few close friends, like, right? Like maybe you are or you need to, but nonetheless, like we all have those points, right?
Yeah,
So I appreciate you, first of all, taking the time because it takes time to write books, right? But I appreciate you taking the time, energy, effort to like put out that book. And again, for those of you just tuning in, Dr. Hammond here with BJ Daniels here today. We're talking about mental resilience, right? What does it take to win mentally? And also, you can grab a copy of that book, Beyond the Red Zone. You said it
yep.
was on Amazon, and where else did you say?
Amazon, Target, and Walmart. Yep.
Amazon, Target, Walmart. So grab a copy. Um, but I also wanted to know, like, what do you feel like, again, like we were just talking about, like there's so many ways sometimes that we just get into like hard times, right? Struggled mentally. I mean, but what would you say is one mindset shift that someone can have if they're, maybe in that dark place right now, like, or struggling, or like, how do you, sort of shift out of that? What's like a one tip you think you can share?
Yeah, I'm actually in it right now, and it's really just reflection. To be honest with
Mm,
you, when I look back on some of the things, and I believe in God, very spiritual. Like when I look back on some of the things that I experienced that I overcame, or God allowed me to overcome. When I look back on those moments, it really encourages me. It really helps me. I was speaking with someone yesterday about the fact that to be honest with you, God has already done enough. So when I look back on some of
wow.
the things that or moments where, man, I didn't think I was gonna get through this, and I did, or I
Yeah.
wasn't gonna get through that, and that happened. So
Yeah.
even today, when I'm faced with certain struggles or certain things, I try my hardest not to forget my foundation, and
Yeah.
that is my faith. But other than that, I do things for myself personally. I love playing basketball. I like reading. I like drawing. I like working out. I have a lot of different outlets, outside of my locker room that feeds me.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I think I've gotten a lot better about saying no. My peace, it matters
Yes.
extremely the most. So,
Repeat
I
that
don't
again.
my peace. Yeah. So if it doesn't bring me peace, if it overwhelms me, and even in just something as small as scheduling things,
Yeah.
I don't make sure that I have anything too close back to back on my Outlook or my calendar, because
Yeah.
those things and my emotions need to still, I need to decompress or even just deal with what I just dealt with.
Yeah.
I need to have that time and that space. So saying no has been a very valuable tool for me.
Mhm. I love that. I love that because, hey, y'all from California's in the house. Dallas is in the house. India's in the house. Hey, everybody, North Carolina. Thanks so much for continuing to join here. Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. We're here today. Greetings to you as well. We're here today with BJ Daniels. And again, thanks so much for joining us today. If you're just tuning in, by the way, because I know some of you come on the live a little late, which is fine, be sure to watch the replay of this. It'll be up soon on Dr. Nekeshia Hammond YouTube page. You do not want to miss it. This is so powerful, and I really appreciate you sharing your journey because like you said, it is tough, right? Like we do get into those times, but I love what you said about making sure to be intentional, right? Like you're intentional about your schedule. You have the outlets, right? You have the self-care. You have the times you just have to say no to certain people, right? We all have so many demands on our time. And if we just keep saying yes to everything, like we really will get burnt out. So, like I said, just being intentional about that. I appreciate you sharing that as well. Um, my other question I had for you is, obviously you're doing like such impactful work right now. I mean, you've written this amazing book, your role of our health. What are you most excited about right now? Like what's next for you? How do people stay connected with you? I know some people in the chat have been like really enjoying this and saying really positive things because this is really meaningful and it's I think important for you to be for all of us, right, to be sharing our journeys. But what's next for you? What's exciting? How can people stay connected with you?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, everyone that is on the chat, most of the cities you said, I had the opportunity to live or play for those teams. So I coach for the Carolina Panthers. I used to play for the Houston Texans. I got drafted by the San Francisco 49ers. So I've had a journey, and all those
Yeah.
things I've gathered different tools along the way. But for me, I work for a mental health company in St. Pete. It's called Ever Health, and October 9th, which is something I'm planning. We're going to have 500 high school student athletes from 6 different high schools all come to one auditorium. They're going to hear myself along with another speaker talk about mental health, resilience, and the tools that you need to kind of move forward. And the beautiful part about it is this is our second year doing this. And last year we recorded a video of about 3 students from each school, and they all shared some things that they struggle with in school, some things that they want to get better at, some peer pressures that they're facing. And the best part about it was we're bringing these schools together from all parts of the county, so north, south, and east of St. Pete or Pinellas County, which is not too far from Tampa. And
Yeah.
it's amazing to see these kids from the south side that go to Gibbs High School with some other kids that go to the north side, which is Clearwater High School, and they're sharing things that they're experiencing that are exactly almost identical and the same, but they never
Yeah.
would have met each other. They never would have had those interactions because they're so focused on football. They're so
Yeah.
focused on we're going to beat that school, we're going to play against that team. But we showed the video in front of everyone, so it was amazing to kind of just bond the community
Yeah.
through mental health and resilience, and not look at it as a weakness. And the event is called Mind Shift. So we're shifting our mind from mental health being a negative or a weakness to a strength and a positive.
Yeah, and I know you talked about that before. And first of all, I mean, I think the event is going to be amazing, and extremely needed, especially for our youth. And I love that you're essentially working on the stigma of mental health because, like you said, like as soon as people hear mental health, we always think it's something negative. We all have mental health,
Yeah.
but varying things going on with us. But I wonder, I mean, I know you've spoken before about this, but I wonder why do you feel, especially for high performers, elite athletes, high performers, whether it's in a job or, whatever it is that we're doing, why do you think we sort of suffer in silence when it comes to mental health?
I mean, to be honest with you, and I'll speak on my own behalf.
Yeah.
I was meant to be made a superhero. I was groomed to be that.
Yeah.
To wear this outer shell, to protect myself in society, in our community, whether that's an athlete, whether that's a man, whether that's a black man. Those are all things that I share, and I have to continue to wear this armor and this shield to protect myself from everything, from the community that I'm in, the community that I'm not in, the school that I go to, the teachers that I'm around, the coaches that I've experienced, to just wear this armor, put dirt on it, keep it moving, and in the same fashion, I'm not allowed to complain. I'm not allowed to tell you that
Mm,
I'm not okay. I'm not allowed to tell you that I'm hurting or I'm bothered or I didn't like the way you said that. That's not who we're supposed to be.
yeah.
At the same time, when we define a man, we don't never say any of the things that are cute and cuddly. And one thing I love to say is, no, my feelings are hurt, and I think that's okay to say.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I like to draw. That's okay to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so those things are part of that stigma. It's unfortunate. I'll even take you from my childhood to the NFL. If I were to say that I was struggling with something mentally in the National Football League, I would be blacklisted. It would be
Wow.
someone that, oh, you have an issue and a problem, so while you go deal with that, we're going to bring somebody else in to take your position and your job.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of space and room for that, and unfortunately, even our society and community today, I go to work every day, and I'm around people who are also dealing with things, but
Yeah.
because of their title or their position or how long they've been with the company, they're not supposed to or allowed to, nor will they divulge, the things that they're struggling with. And unfortunately, we're a lot closer in community than we think.
Yeah.
That's why I brag about my failures. I brag about the things that I struggle with. I brag about the things that I needed help with, because I don't want you to look at me as just a football player. And that's a stigma that I'm fighting. I'm not just
Yeah.
that, as
Yeah.
well. So
Yeah.
it's society. It's something that we have to continue to just be open about and have those discussions, because I think I can relate and people can relate to me a lot more than they think. It doesn't have to be Drake, but it can be a grandmother that was praying for us, that we loved and cared about,
You
who
know.
is no longer available to us. So
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. So important. New York's in the house. Welcome. You're right. It is everywhere that you've been is
yeah,
tuning in tonight.
yeah.
And thanks for those who are still starting to join here. Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. We're about to wrap up in a couple of minutes. So again, if you're just tuning in, don't forget to watch the replay of this, the whole thing, on Dr. Nekeshia Hammond YouTube page. But again, we're here today with BJ Daniels. I so appreciate you sharing your story, sharing your journey. I think you're absolutely right when it comes to the stigma of mental health. Like you said, whether it's an elite athlete, whether it's a corporate executive, I mean, next door neighbor, whomever, like there's still, unfortunately, this stigma of saying like, hey, I'm just not okay right now, right? But the reality is a lot of us are suffering, unfortunately, in silence. But like you mentioned earlier, having that locker room, which I hope
Mhm.
for those of you who were tuning in earlier, you heard BJ talk about just having that locker room, whomever that is for you. If it's your friends, family member, person at a place of worship, your next door neighbor, whoever that supportive group of people are for you, is really, really important for each and every one of you to have. Someone said in the comments, I recently attended a summit and the theme was leading with resilience. Sometimes those with mental health issues are invisible, so we must learn to recognize them. Yes, yes, and yes. You know what? And I will say this before we go into the last question. I will say this, you all, just as a reminder, mental health sometimes is absolutely invisible. I promise you, you are looking at people, they are smiling, they have the biggest smile on their faces, they're walking with confidence, all the things, and their life is falling apart right now, right? Because we cannot always see the depression. Sometimes we can. We can't always see the anxiety. We can't always see the trauma. We can't always see that. People present in different ways, huge smiles on their faces, and they're falling apart. So just please be kind to people that you interact with. Okay, last question for you as we wrap up. And again, thank you so much for being here today. So our last question is, well, actually, no, two questions. Sorry. What the last question is, second to last question is, what's one thing about the Super Bowl experience? We talked about that earlier, but what's one thing that you experienced that would surprise people out of that experience that you had?
Oh wow. uh, I don't know. It's crazy. I think the Drake story is amazing.
Yeah.
Hanging out, with him during that moment. Um, I mean, the Super Bowl to me it just was so surreal. Like I said, I experienced the Super Bowl, but I had never won anything in my life up until that point.
Wow.
There was no high school state championship. There was no conference championship in
Um,
college or national.
yeah.
For me, I was just happy to be there. I was just thankful for
Yeah.
for that opportunity to experience that. But I will say, unfortunately, with that Super Bowl, everybody has this arrogant stigma of, all of us being the same. So for example, I can talk about the Super Bowl as much as I want to. My experience was not Russell Wilson's experience. My experience was not Marshawn Lynch's experience. But the one thing that bonded us together was we were all people who were counted out. So me and Russell Wilson, I'm 5'11", we're about the same height.
Yeah.
Marshawn Lynch, everybody knows who that is, and we were considered the misfit, group. We were the guys that weren't the tallest, weren't the fastest, weren't the strongest, but at the end of the day, we all had the same mentality of trying to prove someone wrong and show that we belonged.
Yeah.
So that team that we had, we all held each other accountable. I think that's one thing that a lot of people probably don't realize. Like we had a great coach, and that's awesome. But you're only as good as the people around you, and that's in
Yeah.
business as well. So, it was really cool to see that group still continue even today, still communicate and talk. Like I talked to Marshawn's mom. Me and her FaceTime last week. Marshawn just had a birthday on Tuesday in LA, and he invited me to that. So it's really more of a family atmosphere once you
Yeah.
get to that point.
Yeah.
NFL is a business at the end of the day, but the teams that are successful are the ones that truly kind of lean on each other. And you saw it this year. If anyone watched the Super Bowl, the
Mhm.
Seahawks is known for having like this energetic type of environment, aside from the loud colors. But but yeah, it was a great atmosphere and a family atmosphere. I'll say that.
Yeah, I love that. I love to hear that. And it is important, like you mentioned. I think that's been the theme today for sure. Just talking about how one of the things that can get us through mentally is definitely having that support system.
Mhm.
So let people know how they can connect with you. And I'll also put it in the chat here, how they can connect with you and any last things that you want to share with this group. And again, thanks you all so much for tuning in today. But any last things you want to share, including how to get in contact with you, and I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. I'm very personable on there. I love interacting with people. So Instagram is BJ Daniels 5. On LinkedIn, I love opportunities to be able to come speak. I'm not allowed to say no. God has given me an opportunity to have a platform, so I need to make sure I'm intentional about using it. And I'll leave everyone with this one quote that kind of changed my whole perspective on everything. It's don't worry about your platform, because I always thought I wanted to go higher and be in the penthouse and have the white picket fence, the dog in the backyard, the wife with all this stuff, the car and the house. But I was too worried about going that way. It wasn't until I was intentional about my impact when I really started just giving and serving other people that God has continued to raise my platform in a different way. So don't worry about your platform. Be intentional about your impact.
Oh, I love that. Beautiful. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. All right, you
Absolutely.
will. So I, BJ Daniels is available on IG. Be sure to connect with him. BJ Daniels 5 on IG or BJ Daniels on LinkedIn. Be sure to connect with him there. And someone said, Amen in the comments. The last few things. Yeah, I love that. It's a great way to end
Amen.
today. But again, so we'll be back next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here live on Black Women Empowered Incorporated Facebook page, YouTube, and LinkedIn Live. Be blessed. Have an amazing week, you all. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you so much, BJ, for being here today and sharing everything you shared. So many gems. And again, replay will be Dr. Nekeshia Hammond, YouTube. The replay will be on there because this is a lot of gold and great wisdom. So thank you so much again.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Yes. Bye, everybody.